Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Fifth Quarter Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, the Bluff City Cowboy, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee. And it is week 18 of the NFL schedule, and it's also a rivalry week. So, as always, we have the creator and owner of DC4L Network, Miss Amanda Foster, joining us.
Hey, y'all. What a great last week in football it's been. Hadn't it been, Marcus?
It has been a roller coaster the entire season. I was just looking like it's weird to think that we're the number 2 seed, or we have a chance to be the number 2 seed. Looking at if you go back to week 8 when we did that bye week show,
Yeah.
you and myself and Charlie, and we were like, nobody's gonna hit any offensive benchmarks that we think. The offense is in the crapper. We're gonna hit the toughest part of our schedule. We'll probably lose 5 out of the next 10 games. And the sky was falling. And now we're sitting here with the chance to be the number 2 seed. It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else out there feels this way, but Marcus and I and the admin team, we've all been talking about it quite a bit. If you would have asked any of us even last week after, Philly beat New York, if we were going to look at anything other than the 5th seed, taking a road trip to many places, if we intended to go anywhere, I think we all would have probably told you no.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a big swing and it feels good. It feels really good. I'm excited about this week.
It definitely does. Definitely does. So thank you guys for joining us. I see we got pregame sweat joining us. Eric, thank you for joining. And as always, we got Stephen White joining us in the comments. Thank you for tuning in. Every week the views are getting higher and higher, and I see we're already at a definite high than we were last week. So we got 23 views right now, and we only have 2 likes. So let's get those likes matched up with those views. So everybody watching, be sure to hit that like button. You can like, you can love, you can do thumbs down. We'll take any engagement we can get. Also, if you haven't done so already, be sure to join the DC4L Facebook group. A lot of great dialogue, a lot of giveaways, a lot of prizes. Just an overall great group to be a part of. And also help us build that DC4L YouTube channel. We're going to start posting more content on there. So make sure you guys go find that on YouTube. And while you're there, also go find me, Bluff City Cowboys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Help me grow my engagement as well. All we need to do is win, Ryan.
That's
DC.
right.
Exactly. Chris Wormsley, thank you for joining, becoming a regular. Appreciate you tuning in. Scotty Rowe looks like a new name, so thank you for joining us. Facebook user, we got to get you to hit that accept button at some point, Facebook user, so we know who you are every week. Robert Ewan, thank you. I appreciate it. Definitely, you guys, great questions and comments. Help us to make this show a lot better and make it a lot easier on us because you guys are such great fans. Derek Deist, thank you for joining us. Looks like a new name, so appreciate you tuning in. And we got Jack Meeker joining us, one of my longtime regular followers, so thank you for tuning in. And we definitely need to destroy our true rivals. Got a lot to talk about tonight. Before we talk about the Washington game, before we talk about the storylines, we have to start off with a recap from last week's game against the Detroit Lions. Overall, great game. A lot of controversies that we're going to touch base on really quick. So make sure you guys get those likes up and also continue to leave those questions and comments because, as you guys know, whenever you see Amanda here, you know that there are going to be some giveaways to follow. So we have 2 very special giveaways that we're going to do at some point in the show. And as you guys know, the only thing you have to do is be engaging. So keep those questions, keep those comments coming, and you will be included in a drawing for the 2 giveaways we have coming up. All right, Justin Robinson, you have to give. Is it Facebook or StreamYard, Amanda? Which one do you have to give approval?
I think it's StreamYard, isn't it? That we have to get from. It might be Facebook. It's one of the 2. When you click on it, Justin, it should tell you. And just on that note, Justin's actually one of the sponsors for one of our prizes tonight. Justin's a legend. He's got a really awesome thing. We'll tell you about it more in a minute. But
Okay.
yeah, that's Justin there with the last prize that we haven't announced yet.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Justin, thank you for tuning in. Definitely appreciate you supporting the Fifth Quarter Podcast and the DC4L Network. We have a great fan base, as you can see from the comments that are already coming through. And we'd like to try to reward them for all that they do to help us continually grow.
That's right.
Michael J. Karen, thank you for tuning in. See, I got my guy Jeff joining. Thank you for joining us tonight, Jeff. Sydney Byron, appreciate you tuning in. Comments are starting to come in pretty quick, fast to keep up with. So thank you guys for joining us. Roger Young. Looks like I hit everybody. So let's go ahead. Let's get this show started, and let's start off with a game recap from last week's game against the Detroit Lions, because there's so much that we have to touch base on with what happened throughout that game.
Game recap.
Okay, so as you guys know, we had a tough fought matchup. Final score of 20-19, nail biter at home. Two playoff teams. We'll probably get a chance to see these guys again in the playoffs in the divisional round. So definitely was a playoff atmosphere for this week, battling for that number 2 seed in NFL. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of my notes from the offensive side and defensive side, and then we'll let Amanda chime in with her notes, because I know she has some notes as well.
Oh, I did. Yes, sir.
So we'll start off on the offensive side first. I just like to keep it short and sweet, 3 notes, and then give Amanda a chance to talk about what she wants to talk about. So on the offensive side, Dak and Brandon Cook still have to get that connection, because he's getting open, and for some reason Dak continuously overthrows him. Now I don't know if it's because the history of this team, he hasn't had any deep threats that he had to hit like Cooks, or if it's something they don't work on in practice, or what have you, whatever it is. That connection needs to be tightened up for the playoffs, because that deep threat and his ability to keep that safety deep, or that safety watching CD Lamb and leaving some big plays out there in the field, that needs to be taken advantage of as we get to the playoffs. The Lions were bringing it in terms of their front four. Aiden Hutchinson was remarkable. Their defensive tackles were playing well, even though we did lose Tyler Smith, so that kind of played into that. And Dak was continuously making plays with his legs, not scrambling, just avoiding tacklers, making deep throws down the field. He had the interception on one of them. Great play by the safety. Dak made the perfect read. Lamb made the good read. It should have been a big play. Sometimes the defense plays better than the offense, but overall, that was a great play by Dak and overall pocket awareness. One of the few things that I've always criticized Dak about over the course of his career is his pocket awareness. He's really stepping up in this second half of this year. And the last thing, I don't know what we're gonna do next year about Schoonmaker, because Jake Ferguson is continuously taking that second step. Dak missed him a couple of times, but those were wide open plays that he created separation, and the ball was just slightly off because of the pressure that was coming in Dak's face and along the edges. But Jake Ferguson is right there on his way to becoming a premier tight end in NFL. And I'm hoping in the playoffs he finds a way to get unlocked and we take advantage of that, because the teams that we're going to potentially play, they're all subpar against the tight end position. So he's going to have some opportunities to make some big plays. And we'll talk about that once we get the storylines. Before I go to defense, Amanda, give me some of your offensive thoughts about this week's game.
One of the things I wanted to touch on is the absolute beauty that is Dak Prescott's seam throws lately. They are just gorgeous. And every time it seems like he's missing it, and that really bugs me. Like, we're not getting the connection that I really want to see. But he has gotten amazing. Just this year, Dak is playing at a level I have never seen him play at in his entire career. As for the Tyler Smith thing, I wanted to take a note of this because I think a lot of people really didn't pay attention to it. What is it? TJ Bass, is that his name? Or
That's it.
okay, Bass came in and played admirably. They tried him a few times too, because as soon as Tyler went down, because Tyler's such a focal point on that line now. aside from the holding calls, he really had a fantastic year. And Bass came in, and I think we've got a hidden gem there that's really going to help us out moving forward.
Yes.
My last defensive note is this offensive line is not built to run. We are built for pass protection. And I don't know where the disconnect is, but when it comes, a lot of people like to talk about Tony's lack of success, but we need to put a lot of that blame on the O-line right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. They're just not creating the gaps that really need to be created. So I want to see where we go with that. And then just to touch on it, I know we're going to touch on it in a second because I know what's coming up in the show. But CeeDee Lamb is him. Isn't that what the kids say now? CeeDee Lamb is him.
Yeah.
That man has taken what Sherman said and shut everyone up. Didn't even put him in the top 5, and now he is the best receiver. I think he's surpassing Tyreek Hill, and he is about to get a massive paycheck, a very large paycheck, and it's going to be totally worth it. And I think at this point, CD may be one of the better 88s outside of the Super Bowl wins. I know Michael Irvin, I get it, but CD has skill sets that no other 88 had. Like if one was lacking it, CD has it. He can play the slot really well. He can go deep. His go routes are really fancy, and he always gets open. And that's just, I'm really excited for the future of this team when I look at the offensive off, like what we have offensively, as long as we get rid of Michael Gallup. But that was just it. I'm just really excited to see where it goes from here. And I really think that having home field advantage really opens up the offense for this team because, I mean, it's hard to play in, harsh conditions. We all know that. It's easier to play at home. That's why we have such a great record there. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. Jack Meeker asked, can TJ Bass play center? I don't think he can play center. He's doing pretty good at guard, as well as our current center, Tyler Biadasz.
Yeah,
he's doing solid. He's above average.
Yes, he is. I can't really be too upset with that. I really think the disconnect's on that right. It's not Martin, so I mean that pretty much tells you what I'm about to say. There's a disconnect on the far right side of our line, and it seems to be the weakness every week, week in, week out. And it's made, I guess that's what's made Dak's pocket awareness so good because Steele keeps letting the pressure in. Right. Normally you worry about a quarterback's left side, but now he's got to worry about the right.
Well, that can be a gift and a curse because if you know where the pressure is going to come from, it makes you more aware of where to step to avoid it.
Yeah.
Unlike some other teams where you got 2 or 3 bad offensive linemen, so you don't know where it's coming from. If you know it's coming from the right side, you kind of know what you can do to step up and adjust and shift in the line to avoid it.
Yeah, I really hope. And someone mentioned in the comments, I saw it a few up. Someone was talking about that Cooks. You were bringing up the Cooks and Dak connection. I just wonder, do you think they don't do that in practice? Is that just, I don't understand why we wouldn't. You got to test them every once in a while. I mean, we do it at least 3 times a game. You would think they practice that. I don't know.
I mean, I would think they practice it, but I mean, I don't know for certain, but I would just say it's a difference between doing it at practice and doing it in the actual game when the adrenaline is high and you've got a real pass rush coming and you're afraid to really step into it like you need to so that it doesn't sail.
Is Cooks the fastest receiver Dak's ever had to throw to? I was trying to think. He runs the 4.3.
Probably Turpin.
Turpin,
yeah. In terms of starters, yes.
But Turpin we don't ever really use, which is another thing Mike McCarthy is bizarre to me about. And I sent him a stopwatch if anyone's worried. I'm going to send him like a giant clock to wear around his neck that has like a bell on it.
Yeah. One of the critiques I've had of this offense for the past 5 years, and for you guys who follow the prior podcast, you would know, Dallas has a type. They always are going to draft 6'2", 6'3", 215-pound, 4.5 speed guys. That's all Dak has seen throughout his career. Tolbert was actually the first receiver since 2011 that the Cowboys drafted that was over 6 foot and ran under a 4.5. Crazy stat. So Dak's not used to that. He's never had that. I mean, Cole Beasley ran a 4.3, but he was 5'8". We drafted a guy, and he was undrafted, by the way. And then we drafted the guy from North Carolina a couple years ago. He was also he was also a guy that was under 5'10". So Dak's never really had a true outside speed guy and not just like a shifty guy like a Cole Beasley. So it's something, if you haven't had it for 7 years and you finally get it, I know we as fans like to think they're all professionals and this stuff can just happen like that. But that stuff takes time. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but teams don't get to practice on the field unlimited snaps like we think they do. The collective bargaining agreement makes it very hard for those guys to go on the field and get the amount of snaps they need to get. And actually, most teams, especially good teams, they have a certain amount of padded practices and live practices they can have during the year. And for the good teams, they normally save those for the end of the year because they know they're going to gear up for the playoffs. So the first half of the year, if the number's like 40 live practices, they may have only used like 10 or 15 the first half of the year so that they can save them for the second half of the year and make sure that they're clicking for the playoffs. So a lot of stuff comes into play with stuff like that. And I'm sure they get practice on Dak's private field at his house. But again, there's not that's not an edge rusher coming at you full speed trying to take your head off.
And it's funny, I think I can't recall any other quarterback that really went as far as Dak did on a field until he did. I look back trying to research this. I know they all had small little makeshift things, but Dak went above and beyond. If you haven't seen Dak's football field, it's pretty impressive. Now Patrick has one. A lot of the quarterbacks are adding it onto their properties. Everybody's getting a football field. It's like Oprah Winfrey out there. Here, you're a millionaire.
Right. I'm shocked they all didn't have it before.
Well, it's bizarre. I was researching that because that was what I thought too, but it's very odd. I haven't found really anyone that had something of that stature.
Yeah. Well, also, there aren't many teams in areas where you have that much land. Like, you can't be a LA quarterback and have enough space to build a football field in your backyard.
That's probably true. That's true too.
Have
you seen Brock Purdy's apartment? That poor guy. That poor guy.
So yeah, William Coulter, thank you for joining us. I got a couple of questions before we talk about the defensive side. We touched base on Jack Meeker's question about can TJ Bass play center. Good question by Ray Dean, and you've been hitting quite a few, Ray Dean. I'm gonna keep leaving. I'm gonna keep putting them up here and talking about them. Ray Dean asked, should we sit anybody versus Washington? Maybe some O-line guys. Amanda shaking her head, no, and I agree.
I am never a fan of sitting and losing potential. I mean, my biggest concern going into Washington, which we'll talk in a minute, is the weather. It's very up in the air right now, but I am not a sit your players type of people. In fact, I saw today a lot of people are sitting. Even Nick Sirianni's like talking about sitting people. And I think that's ridiculous. Like, if you look at who's actually sitting, now you've got the Niners, of course. I don't even think they said Brock Purdy is going to sit. That should tell you something. You don't go into the mindset. You got to play to win, and anything can happen. You put Cooper Rush out there and God forbid, we had a big lead and it dwindles down because you've pulled most of your starters.
Right.
I'm never a fan of sitting players. You want them fresh because there's no bye week anymore except for the top team and both sides, in the NFC and the AFC. Do not sit players. Right. I hope the Eagles do, but they're only doing it because they think they're going to lose. I think.
Yeah,
that's so sad.
I agree. And I agree with you. The only position I would consider sitting is running back.
Tyron?
No, running back or an injured player. That's for any team in general.
Yeah.
Running back is the only position where you can get off your couch and run for 100 yards. If you're good, you're good. If you have a guy that's borderline injured, like a Tyron Smith with his back, I would consider that. But in terms of a player who's healthy sitting, running back is the only position I would ever consider letting sit because everybody else has to have reps. Jack Meeker, do we think this is a recovery year for Steele? 100%.
I agree to an extent, but that's one of the. I've always heard that it's one of the easier positions. I know you have to use a lot of a lot of your strength there at the right tackle, and I get it. But I don't know. I think a lot of it, Steele's making stupid decisions, like stupid things are happening that shouldn't be happening, even if it was, injured, like the recovery aspect of it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Some of the things that Steele's doing, like he's just missing blocks out there for no absolute reason.
Yeah.
He's whiffing things. It's ridiculous.
Now, if someone played right tackle, that's not an easy position. I played four of the five positions. I would probably say, I don't want to say it because people think I'm picking on them. Actually, in my opinion, right guard was the easiest position for me. That's not
Really?
saying Zach Martin's not great, but for me, right guard. Because typically with the right guard position, the center's position is hard in itself because you're playing with two hands because your third hand is snapping the ball, your balance is off. You got to call the checks and all the line shifts. So that position is always difficult.
And then
The
left tackle.
left tackle, obviously, don't have to go through that. In my opinion, right guard is the easiest because typically that's where the nose tackle lines up at, and you're almost always double teaming with the center. So if you're playing a 3-4, that nose tackle is either going to shade right here, so you're going to get a clean shot on him with the center, or he's going to be head up with the center, and you're going to be able to double team with the center and go to the second level. So and left guard typically gets the 3 techs, the athletic pass rusher guy. So just for me, but it's different for different teams. It all depends on how you play. All right, so let me go ahead and go forward to some of my defensive notes. Go
Well,
ahead,
to
Amanda.
one comment, Michael J. Karen just said, he'll thinks we're going to be looking to kick steal. That's not going to happen. I know because we just gave him a very, very large contract, like a very large contract. He's not going anywhere. We just got to hope that, it is the regression from the injury. So, but he's not going anywhere. I think we can't even get out of that contract easily until 2025 or 2026.
Yeah, I agree. He's here. The money says so. He can't play left tackle if Tyron leaves, so he's pretty much stuck at right tackle, and he's going to be there next year. I see we got my guy Coach Webster joining us in the comments. One of my longtime friends, diehard Cowboys fan. I don't know if you followed on the last show, Amanda, but Coach Webster was one of the interns under Dan Quinn when he was at Atlanta. So he gave me a lot of inside notes about Dan Quinn and what he likes and what he looks at. So thank you for joining us, Coach Webster.
That's really cool. I'd like to pick your brain one day, Coach Webster.
Yeah, I wanted to get him on the show this year, but he just got a head coaching job, so I didn't want to bother him too much in his first year. But hopefully, I can get him on the show next year once he gets
that'd be awesome.
More acclimated into his position. Okay, William Coulter asked the question, do you think Tyler Smith is playing? Definitely not.
I wouldn't play him this week. I think TJ Bass played well enough. And you look at who we're playing against now. I'm not saying that Washington, they're professional football players, but if they win, I want to put this note out there. I think they go from the second pick to like the 7th or 8th. Mm-hmm. That's a big fall.
Right.
You don't want to take when you're looking for a quarterback.
Exactly. Right. They don't like their quarterback. They're gonna get a new head coach. You got to make it enticing for the new guy. Yeah. And if you got the second overall pick in a deep quarterback class, you'll have a better chance of getting a good coach to come in and do an interview.
Yeah.
And that team's loaded at receiver. So
they are.
They're really just a quarterback away from being competitive.
Well, I just don't understand why they got rid of. I guess it was for draft capital to try to entice a coach, but they got rid of so many people. But right before the trade deadline, I didn't quite comprehend why they got rid of Chase Young. But okay.
Well, I can understand it because injuries.
That's the only thing that makes sense. I wish they wouldn't have sent him where they sent him, though.
Yeah, but Chase Young is in the last year of his deal, so he's gonna get a big contract this year. So do you want to wait and get the compensatory in 2 years? Or like I just said, you got a new coach that's going to be coming. Do you want to build your war chest this year so that when that new coach comes, he says, look, we have a top 5 first-round pick. We have 2 seconds. We have 2 thirds. We have 2 fourths. Pretty much whatever you want to do, you can come in here and turn this thing around quickly. So I understand the thought process with that. And I don't think they could have worked out a deal with them, so they just made the best deal they could. Same thing for Sweat.
Yeah, they need to work on building a new stadium. I'm sure that enticed some people.
Yeah, so the players don't get rained on.
It's so bad.
Yeah, that's a terrible stadium.
I hope we got our benches. Y'all all remember that. I hope we're bringing the benches with us.
That would be great if they did that again.
I really hope they do. I need that.
All right, guys. We're at 26 minutes. Let me go through these defensive notes and then we'll move ahead. This will probably, Amanda, I hope you can stay. This will probably be a fairly long show.
Oh,
Just
I'm
from
ready.
looking at all the stuff we got to go over. So defensive notes this week's game or last week's game. The smaller defense worked. Looking at the game, of course, they had some big runs where our safeties and linebackers got washed. But for the most part, they really held their own considering how great Detroit's offensive line is and how much they try to be a smash mouth run team. Particularly, shouts out to D-Law using his quickness and leverage on the inside to shift and avoid guards and make tackles in the backfield. If you like offensive and defensive line play, that was beautiful. The way he was just manipulating all pro guard and center. And then another thing I noticed when you look at the all 22, because Malik Hooker was out 2 weeks ago and then came back last week, Wilson the past 2 weeks has started to play more of a linebacker role. And that dude is just amazing at making tackles. I mean, he has a knack for avoiding guys coming to the second level and getting guys on the ground. I know our fan base loves to say we need more linebackers. And as I say that, I see Charles Moon. Thank you for joining us saying we need more linebackers. I agree with that also. But Quinn has shown us what he is. He likes safety linebacker hybrids. I think that's just one of those things we have to accept as a fan base, and we just hope that it doesn't become a detriment to the defense that he set up. But yeah, D-Law, Wilson, two small guys made a big impact in the running game. And Jack Meeker said this and somebody else said it. D-Law definitely got screwed out of the Pro Bowl this year.
He was flying around out there like he was a rookie. He played an impressive football game.
He did. I see we got my guy Mendoza joining us. Mendoza, thank you for tuning in. And also congratulations on winning the Cowboys Zone Fantasy Football League this year. I will be sending your prize after the show. I didn't forget about you. Wednesday is my extremely busy day, and I go nonstop from the time I wake up until this show ends. So thank you for tuning in and joining us, Mendoza. Second thing, Jordan Lewis. We give him a lot of flack, but that guy for the past 4 games has probably been our first or second best defensive player. Playing against the run, covering, all the above. Who would have thought it, like you said?
I know. We talked a lot about, like, he lost a step, he don't look right, and then he's really shut my mouth lately, so I haven't said much, but he's played very well.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of those things where you go back to Steele. Jordan Lewis coming off that injury, you just don't know how long it takes for guys to get their confidence back or their bodies to feel close to 100%. We could be at the point where we're seeing Lewis start to feel 100% again, and it's coming at the right time because he's really been holding his own at that slot position.
Well, it's the perfect time.
Yeah, definitely stepped up at the right time. And I see we got Brian Dublé joining us, Beard Gang, joining us. Appreciate you tuning in. Third point, pre-vid defense almost beat us again for the second week. I don't know why they keep going to prevent and end of game situations. It's not working. Let's go with what's shutting them down for 3 quarters and 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't get the soft play. It makes 0 sense to me. Like, stay on them. You know what I mean? It's go man, stay on top of them. Don't let them get out. I was so angry. I'm glad my TV survived last week because when that ball went when Decker caught that 2-point, which he did not report correctly. I just wanted to make that point out there. But when he caught that ball, I'm surprised my remote didn't leave my hand. I was so angry because Dan isn't learning from these simple things, and that's the biggest thing. We almost lost the game yet again, simply because we switched to something that we hadn't done all game. How does that make sense? I don't get it.
Yeah. Now, I can almost understand why he did it last week. I don't agree with it, but you're up 7, minute and a half. You know they have to score a touchdown to tie the game. I can kind of see why you would do prevent, get them down inside the 20 and then clamp them up. I can halfway understand the Miami game. It made absolutely no sense. Lions game, I wouldn't have done it again, but I understand the reasoning why. Just like going back to, oh yeah, I got another Michigan fan in here. Thank you for joining us, Michael Murray. Also going back to that offensive play where we threw the ball on second down. Again, I wouldn't have done it. I can understand why. The Lions were playing an aggressive game. You want to match their aggressiveness. You get that first down, the game is over. So I can kind of see why they took a chance. I wouldn't have thrown it to the end zone, but I can understand why they threw it because they did throw it, I believe, the play before or the play after that to CD Lamb for like 7 or 8 yards to get them in field goal range. So I kind of understand it, but I wouldn't have done it, and I definitely wouldn't have thrown it in the end zone.
It all comes down to the fact that when they called that tripping, it really, I think, threw everything off. The whole tripping penalty that wasn't even on Hendershot, that was on Hutchinson, but got called on us. I think that threw people, maybe. I don't know. McCarthy, there's just something, that's my biggest flaw with him. Yes, we're winning, and that's great, but his time management in crucial moments is absolutely abysmal. It's just bad. You'd think he'd know that by now. But even Aaron Rodgers said that was the biggest gripe with them, was always the way he managed certain things. So I guess it's just part of what comes with Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, definitely. Jeff Supio saying we never should have thrown on second down. I agree with you. I understand the logic, but I definitely agree. They shouldn't have thrown it. You make them burn those timeouts in that situation. Michael Murray, yeah, we did see that. Dan Campbell in a minute by tricking the refs. I mean, you could see it on the video after the game. I know the fan base was in an uproar.
But you got Penei Sewell, you had Penei Sewell, Decker, and someone else. You got all these people. What did they expect? I mean, and that's what's funny about the whole thing is a referee has to tell the defense. That keeps it fair. Exactly. They have to tell the defense what's going on. Decker, if he was reported as eligible, that play would have never been open because someone would have been on him. I mean, and then you lined up wrong at the same time. Like there was like 3 flags, but everyone stops at that first one.
Right.
It's the illegal touching. They don't listen to the illegal formation because the refs didn't really say anything on it.
Right.
It was, and then now the refs aren't getting their playoffs, which is money. Yeah. I can kind of see it because it was a pretty unfair called game. Micah gets held where's I don't get it. So, but the NFL did take the ref side in a way with that video they sent out. That was pretty funny. If y'all haven't seen it, you should look it up. The NFL sent out a video to all 32 coaches to let them know how you correctly report as eligible.
But my biggest gripe with it, and we can move forward, they were in the huddle. Everybody heard them say 70 is eligible.
Mm-hmm. Why didn't no one say nothing?
There were 19 seconds on the play clock. They were still in the huddle. If they heard him say the wrong guy was eligible, Decker could have easily gone to the ref and say, hey, I'm eligible too. Takes 2 seconds, and then you line up, and then you're good. They didn't do it. They thought they were getting away with it because, the ref said the wrong number. If we throw it to this guy, they're not going to throw a flag. In what world? And that's why I don't like Campbell as a coach.
Well, that, and you go back to what is it, Philly with Chuma Edoga. Everybody remembers that there when we were at the link and we got moved back 15 yards. Was it 15?
Right.
15 yards, I think. They moved us back right there. Tony had gotten in, hadn't he, on that one? And then they moved us back because Chuma was down too far downfield. And they said he didn't report, but the video came that he reported. Dak verified. So it's kind of like, we got a little retribution from that, I guess, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, it definitely was Jack Meeker.
It was. He lined up as a guard, and you have to be lined up. Because I read quite a bit on it, you have to be lined up as a tackle on the outside, right? To report as eligible. Isn't that what the way it broke down? That's what I kind of took from it. It's so muddled. Anybody can report as eligible, but you can't be covered by a receiver. Was that what I don't know. It's very weird.
It's tricky. It all depends on how many people on the line and who's on and who's off. I think if that receiver wasn't on the end and it was just those 2 tackles, and they were both eligible, I think they would have been okay.
Okay.
I think it was the receiver that made it ineligible. Thanks for bringing up bad memories, Jeff Supo. Talking about last year's playoff game. Definitely was a big play in the game. All right, guys. So as you can see, we're at 36 minutes. Had a lot to talk about with that Lions game. But now we're going to look ahead to this week's matchup against the Washington Commanders. But before we do, we are going to hit on a couple of storylines that are circulating around the Twitter space regarding the Dallas Cowboys. So keep those comments coming. After we do this, we're going to do our first giveaway, and then we'll talk about the Washington Commanders.
Storylines.
So Wayne Wells said you'll be at the game Sunday. Wayne Wells, if you go to the game, be sure to take a photo in the crowd, send it to Amanda. We'll get that on DC4L for you. And yeah, just let us know what you think about the game and join us next week. First storyline. We had a couple of signings today. Well, kind of on and off about who signed and who didn't, but I think this one was finally confirmed before the show.
Was. Yes,
we signed a running back, a guy I have no information about, so I apologize for that. We signed a wide receiver that I love. You guys that know me know I love special teams, and this kid, Racy McMath from LSU, love him. Faster Noah Brown. If you guys followed the old show 2 years ago, I talked about if I had a 7th round pick, I would have taken that kid just for special team purposes only. I think he's going to play this week. Racy McMath, look him up. This dude, 6'2", 220, 4'4". He's not going to give you anything at receiver because he's just a stiff vertical guy, but he's unblockable as a gunner. And he's going to be the first guy down the field. I hope they let him play some jammer too. So I think he's going to help correct some of those mistakes Jalen Tolbert's been making. But this is the big one. Lyle Collins, former Cowboys great, left us in free agency. Or we traded him, signed a big deal with Cincy. Injuries continue to haunt him, and now he's back on our practice squad. Amanda, what did you think about this signing?
Okay, so I've always been a big fan of Lyle, but if I don't want to, I don't. Okay, if I recall, there was a car wreck. I believe he was in a car wreck, and he was never really okay. It was the car wreck. Okay, he was never the same since.
Yeah,
he's got a bad hip. He's got a bad hip, and I think it's great to see the Cowboys making signings at right before week 18. This is very not Jerry. This is not we like our guys.
Yep.
This is really positive to see the Cowboys do this. I love Lyle, but don't anybody think that he's here to take Steele's position or anybody else is on that line. He is here to make sure that we have quality depth. If we need him, he's, I think if you can get him, get a few good snaps, maybe even bring him out on a big jumbo play. But I'm not even sure if we'll see him off the practice squad unless we see injuries moving forward. But I'm excited to see it. He's excited to be here. I'm glad it's official. I've got Lyle's signature in the house. So I loved Lyle, but I just don't think it's anything more than some depth.
Couldn't have said it any better. I doubt we see him in a game. He's definitely going to stay on the practice squad because you get to bring a guy three times up. So if he doesn't get called up this week, that means you have 3 chances to bring him up in the playoffs. I think he'll probably be one of the 2 guys that gets called up from the practice squad just to have that insurance policy. But I highly doubt we see him play. You talked about his injury history. When he was here, he had the car accident, hurt his back, hurt his hip, missed the entire season. Came back, didn't look himself. We traded him for basically nothing. The fan base was in an uproar. He goes to Cincinnati. He shows exactly why we traded him for nothing. And then he tears his ACL and MCL in Cincinnati. So, I mean, that's pretty much his history. He can give some good guidance to a guy like Tyler Smith because he basically came in the same situation. But in terms of on the field, I don't think we're gonna see him much. It's a great story to have. He's a decent depth piece if we absolutely need him, like you said. Amanda jumbo packages. Hopefully he reports as eligible if he goes in. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all we'll see from him. In my opinion, I think Racy McMath of all the signings that we made is going to be the only one that has a chance to make an impact because of his special teams.
Do you think that eliminates the opportunity of Dalvin Cook? Because I know everybody's wondering it over there in the comments.
Honestly, I still think somebody's going to claim him. But we were talking about that in our private chat. Who was the person? Who was that guy? Bah Humbug in the chat. I don't know who it is.
Oh, it's Tyson.
Tyson.
It's
So
Tyson.
Tyson made a great point about the contract and how much he's due. In my opinion, I think if a team is a playoff contender and they need a running back, I don't think they're going to take any chances. And I named you a couple of them in the chat. The Rams. The Rams, all they have is Kyron Williams. If he gets hurt, they're screwed. The Niners. They say McCaffrey's going to be back, but there's no guarantee.
Well,
He's
in
an injury-prone guy.
it
Exactly.
must say history tells you to worry about that one. I hope he's no. I'm not going to say that. I wish him the best of luck after the season ends.
You look at Miami. It looks like Raheem Mostert's dealing with some injuries. They were very heavy on Dalvin Cook in the offseason, and he chose to sign with the Jets for more money. So that's another team you got to look at. And then you look at Baltimore, who's essentially lost two guys at running back who they really relied on to be integral to their scheme.
Yeah, they put Keaton Mitchell on IR, right? And then they got Gus Edwards.
Yeah, they got Justice Hill and then Gus Edwards on one leg, and they're the number 1 seed. He fits their scheme perfectly. If they want to make sure they have a good running back lined up for their bench, I can see them putting a waiver in. I mean, $300,000 sounds like a lot of money to us, but if you're an NFL roster and you have a chance to make the Super Bowl, that's a small price to pay to bring in a veteran running back who could possibly come in and make an impact in the playoffs. So that's just my opinion. I think there's a chance someone signs them. Somebody claims them on waivers. If they don't, I don't know if we're going to be the best option for him in terms of the Niners and the Ravens.
I want to say that the deuce to IR thing is what really kind of messed with my head a little bit because, Jack just said it, but they don't have it. Like Rico's still hobbly. So we've got Tony Pollard who can't explode anymore. And is Malik still on IR? Or is he on the practice squad again? I don't recall.
Malik's on the practice squad.
Okay, I didn't know. Why did I think IR? But maybe. Oh, that's right. Malik, I think, has no more activations left. If I'm correct, we have to sign him to the 53.
Right. If they bring him up, they have to cut him.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's just bizarre to me. I don't know. Maybe, if we go out there and bring in Dalvin Cook, I think I might have a heart attack because we don't do things like this.
Right.
We don't sign people in week 17 headed to week 18. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'll definitely be in the runnings for him, but I don't think we're going to be the most attractive option for him because, like I said, Miami, Baltimore, the Niners, the Rams, if he absolutely wants to be guaranteed playing time, because if he comes here, he's playing behind Rico and Pollard. If he goes to LA, he's the backup and he's playing
behind Kyron. Yeah.
Behind Kyron. Yeah. So
behind Kyron.
A lot of different options out there. Hopefully we can entice them enough to come here, but just keep that in the back of your minds. Hopefully we like I said earlier in the season, if all things are equal, we have the best closer in the NFL than Jerry Jones. So I don't put it past them to get him here. William Coach was saying the Ravens got Melvin Gordon. I think he's on the practice squad. I don't know if he has anything left, honestly. Stephen White, I said this, and Jeff, same thing. The Cowboys always have a way of a first or second year guy that just so happens to get put on IR in a situation where you need to bring a guy up from somewhere. And it looks like Deuce is the example this year. Last year was Peyton Hendershot. The year before that, I think it was McEwen. Every year it happens. There's always a guy who's injured, who just inexplicably gets injured all of a sudden, and it just so happens to be at the same time where they're trying to bring a guy up from somewhere. So I don't think he's injured either. But like you said, weird situation to cut a running back at this point in the year. All right, so got our next storyline. We're at 46 minutes. Thank you guys for tuning in. Continue to stay with us. After we do this storyline, we're going to do our first giveaway. So make sure you guys keep those questions and comments rolling in, because every time you make a comment, you are entered into the drawing. So our second storyline for tonight is just the overall NFL playoff picture. So just looking at all the information that's out there, these four teams look like our most likely matchups. So right now, the Rams are locked in at the 6th seed. If the Rams lose and Seattle wins, Seattle can leapfrog them. No other team can leapfrog them. So if the Rams lose and Seattle wins, we play the Rams. If the Rams win, they're the 6th seed. And whichever one of these other three teams that makes the playoffs, they're the 7th seed. The Saints are up here. They need all three teams to lose to get that 7th spot. Looking at who all these teams play, that's fairly likely. The Rams play the Niners.
Well, and the Rams are sitting Stafford too, apparently.
Right.
I read that. So
the Rams are sitting the quarterback. Green Bay is playing a hot Chicago team, with a quarterback who's trying to prove I don't need to be traded or cut this offseason because you have the number 1 overall pick. So that's going to be a great game. And then you have Seattle playing a team like Arizona. Same situation. Kyler Murray wants to say, hey, I'm still a top quarterback. Don't cut me so quick. He may try to go back-to-back with some big victories. So it's wide open. Amanda, let me know. And you guys in the comments, let me know. Rank them from 1 to 4. Number 1 would be the team that you would like to play most. And number 4 is your scariest matchup. So rank them 1 to 4. 1, the easiest matchup. 4, the toughest matchup. I'm just interested what the fan base thinks about this.
For sure.
You need a minute, Amanda, or you want me to go first?
I'm ready.
All right,
and
go ahead.
I'm probably okay. Green Bay. If I wanted to play anyone, I want to play Green Bay because Jordan Love is inexperienced in the playoffs, and like Wayne just said, I mean, yeah, Aaron Rodgers isn't there, but I really want to I just want to take all the hate that I have from years of them kicking us out of the playoffs to. I'd really like to send them packing in AT&T Stadium. I do not want to play Seattle. I do not. That team is the biggest mismatch on this board for us. The Saints, I'm not worried about. LA has a really weak offensive line. I don't think a lot of people talk about it. It is terrible. So I'm not really worried about them. Everyone sees, Kyron's doing great. I'm not trying to discredit him or Puka Nacua or Cooper. I'm not trying to discredit any of that. But Matthew Stafford, you want to talk about pressure, you get pressure to him. I mean, we hurt the man's finger last time we played the guy. I mean, it's just their line is no good. So I will gladly take LA, Green Bay, or the Saints, and Seattle can stay the heck away from Arlington, Texas. I'm sorry, I don't want anything to do. That's the team that we match up the absolute worst with. So that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, so I'm putting them all up here. I don't want to go through all of them, but you guys see them at the bottom of the screen. Everybody is pretty much on the same lines with you. It's interesting. Jeff has LA last, and also Neek Fahim, who's also a Knicks fan. Thank you for joining. I'm sorry, that's not the Knicks. That is the Yankees. That's the Mets?
That's the Mets, right? I think
I'm not a baseball fan at all, so I apologize. But New York guy who's also a Cowboys fan. Thank you for joining us. Michael, Karen. Looks like everybody has Seattle and LA 4. And I'm pretty much along those same lines. I think we're all in agreement. The Saints will probably be the easiest matchup. Quarterbacks in disarray, don't have a lot of good receivers. They're one of those teams that are terrible on the road, but they can find magic at home. Just like Amanda said, the Rams offensive line is terrible. They've got some skill guys, but you put pressure on their quarterback. He's a gunslinger. He'll make some mistakes. We saw that when we played them a few weeks ago. Now these last two, I would probably put Green Bay 3, just like you said, Amanda. Rookie quarterback and Jordan Love. I love our matchups with their receivers. Christian Watson is out, so there are
Is,
other
did they put
there
him on IR for the
they,
year?
they put him on IR, right.
Just
There
for
are
a
other,
hamstring? Wasn't that all it was a
hey,
hamstring, right?
a
I
hamstring
don't.
could
He's
be
been, I drafted him in fantasy football. After that last year, I drafted him. I'm like, oh, he'll be a great wide receiver 3. I was
yeah.
very incorrect because he barely played. So
Yeah, a hamstring for a wide receiver can be a very serious thing because that's where most of their explosion comes from, making their breaks. So
yeah,
I can understand that.
I get it. It's just it seems like he maybe played 3 games all year. It's ridiculous.
So yeah, Christian Watson is their only speed guy. The other guys are athletic, but they're just height, weight, speed, 50-50 guys. We win 50-50 balls. We've shown that all year. So I think that'll be a good matchup for us. Their running game does scare me because Aaron Jones owns us. And AJ Dillon is still a wrecking ball when he needs to be. They have an above average defense, so that can give some problems. But just their receiver matchup and the quarterback, I like our chances with them. In Seattle, like you said, the only thing that I feel good about Seattle with, they needed a Superman game from DK Metcalf to keep it competitive.
That is true. And
And
once we made adjustments, we did, kind of clamp down in the second half.
exactly. Yeah, once we made those adjustments, we did look like a different team. Their offensive line is not that good. Their defensive line is average. They have good athletic corners, but I think our number one receiver is much better than any guy they have, and they're terrible against the tight end position. So yeah,
Well, Jake Ferguson, that was when he was up in people's face. That was
exactly.
yeah.
They're awful against the tight end. Yeah, I hope so. Nothing is a guarantee in the NFL, but yeah, I'm with you guys. Yeah, I think we're all pretty much along those same lines. Seattle's gonna be somewhere at the end of that list, just like everybody else has. William Coulter almost has the reverse of what I have, so that's interesting. But yeah, no team really scares me. Like I said,
In the wild card.
yeah, because like I just said about Seattle, DK Metcalf played unreal that first half, and then they had that fluky deep ball throw to Jackson Smith and Jig before a touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll get that twice. Not against our corners. So and we were coming off a bye week that week too, I believe, right? Was that our first game off the bye or the second game?
No, that was the second game, wasn't it? Because I want to say, let me see.
It's like week 13, week 12, week 13.
Yeah, we had bye
No,
week.
it was
Yeah,
week 13 because week 12 was the Thanksgiving game. So yeah,
right.
that was a mini bye.
Right.
So yeah, that was a little bit earlier in the season. Even though it was only week 13, it's weird to think how long ago that was. We're a different team right now. We're starting to click at certain positions that we didn't click at in week 13. So I'm looking forward to any of these matchups.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I really hope someone picks off the Niners for us. Wouldn't that be something? Someone go into Santa Clara and send them packing.
Yep.
That's the best possible outcome. We have to get the 2 seed. We cannot lose this week. We cannot, y'all. I really do. I don't know if anyone feels this way. For the first time in a really long time, I think we have a very how do I want to put this? Anything can happen in football, but I think we have a very good path to get to a conference championship game if we take the 2 seed. Because what's always gotten us, we always end up like last year, we had to go in the divisional round to the team that honestly would have went to the Super Bowl if Brock Purdy hadn't gotten hurt. That's the absolute truth of the matter. They would have beat the Eagles. They would have. They almost it got bad there at the end, but I think they would have beat the Eagles last year had Brock Purdy not gotten hurt. So I need someone. So not having to face them in the divisional round is like a giant gift from the football gods. It doesn't happen. So I really do think we have a good opportunity to get to it somewhere we haven't been in 27 years.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that a lot.
Right. And just like Wayne Wells and William Carter said, if any team can upset the Niners, the Rams can do it because they consistently do it in the division. Now they just own the Seahawks. I don't know why. Seahawks are super talented, but the Niners just boat race them every time they play them. But they have problems with the Rams, and I think the Rams can upset the Lions. So that would be very interesting if the Rams beat the Lions and then they have to go to San Francisco, because I think they could do it also. That would be an amazing gift for us.
I'd like to see Philly have to walk into San Fran. And here's the thing is I would cheer for – I'm not an Eagle. I don't like the Eagles. But in that case scenario, please, Eagles, take care of business and then come back into Dallas and let us show you what it's all about. We know the Eagles – that would be the best conference championship game, I think, possible for us, is to have to play our division rivals, the Eagles. And it'd make a really good story too, I'm sure.
Definitely would. All right, guys. So we are – at the 57-minute point. We still haven't started talking about the Commanders yet. So thank you guys for continuing to stick with us. So to keep you guys engaged, we are going to do our first giveaway of the night. Amanda, do you want to let the people know what the giveaway is before I pull this information up?
One of our awesome verified and valued sellers that kind of touches on a little bit of everything, memorabilia, merchandise, just a little bit of everything. Chris has generously helped us out here with a mystery prize. I actually don't know what it is. He told me that he would take care of it, and I've known him now 4 or 5 years. He's one of the best people I've ever met in my life, and he is going to get us a mystery prize. So all you have to do is reach out to me with your address, and we'll get it sent that way.
All right, guys. So the first gift will be a mystery to all of us. So whoever wins it, once you get it, make sure you take a picture, send it to us. We'll post it on DC4L just so we can let the fan base know all the great prizes we're giving away here at the Fifth Quarter Podcast. And like I said before, your questions and comments are your entry into this giveaway. So I'm going to hit this button. We're going to see a bunch of names pop up, and then we will find out who the winner is. So let's get underway and see who gets the mystery prize for this week. Neek Fahim joining us from New York. You are the winner of this week's mystery prize. Be sure to contact Amanda Foster so that she can get your information, and we'll get that over to you as soon as possible. We are doing one more giveaway at the end of the show, and it's a big one.
Oh, so it is.
You guys will definitely want to stick with us for the next 20 minutes as we do a quick review of the Washington Commanders. So once again, before we get started, thank you guys for sticking with us. You guys definitely fuel the Fifth Quarter Podcast Nation. We definitely appreciate your support. If you haven't done so already, I see the likes are higher than the views right now. So thank you guys for that engagement. So if you haven't liked already, be sure to leave a like wherever you're watching. Also, be sure to go to our YouTube channels. You can find us on YouTube at DC4L, and you can find me at Bluff City Cowboys. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so that you'll be updated for any future episodes of the Fifth Quarter Podcast. So let's keep the show going. And thank you, Justin Williams. Appreciate you and your support of the show. Justin Sapo, you've been leaving great questions and comments. So thank you for joining us. Hope you continue to join us, as well as all you guys. This has been a really good show. We're at an hour. Really doesn't seem like it because you guys have really been bringing it in the comments. So let's hope you guys continue to do that as we go forward to some of our key matchups in this week's game against Washington.
Key matchups.
right, guys. So before we talk about some of the key matchups, we first have to do an overlook of the overall matchup between the Cowboys and the Commanders. Thank you, Justin Williams. Thank you, Rachel Nians. Um, so as you guys can see, very large variance between both of these teams, even wider than it was before. We're number 3 in scoring offense at 29.4 points a game. The Commanders are in the lower third of the league at 19.9. You look at the scoring defense. We're at 19.1, which is top 5 in the NFL. The Commanders are giving up 30 points a game, 30 points per game, which is, by the way, the worst in the NFL right now. Um, Two things that lead to that are, one, the turnover differential. We are at a +8, which is right now top 5 in NFL, and the Commanders are at a -12, which is also worse in the NFL. They give away more interceptions than any team, and they also are the most sacked team in the NFL. Their starting quarterback has been pulled twice in the past month, and they are giving him the starting spot again this week. I think one of their offensive linemen is going to be missing. They really don't have a lot to play for. And just like Amanda pointed out earlier in the show, they are fighting for that number 2 draft pick. So I'm pretty sure the front office is not going to be pushing them to play their best game this week. So definitely a lot to look at this week. Jeff Suppose saying on paper we should destroy them. Definitely. Jack Meeker saying he has always loathed Washington. You're preaching to the choir, Jack Meeker. William Coulter says all that means nothing is Dallas versus Washington. Good point. You're dealing with a rivalry game, last game of the year. We do have a lot to play for. They have nothing to play for. The only thing that they can do to leave on a high note is play spoiler to our number 2 seed, be it. Brian Dublé giving us a very early game prediction, 35-17. Jack Supo, definitely pray for no injuries. That's pretty much the biggest thing we need to worry about in this game are injuries. Let's go ahead. Let's do a couple of these key matchups. If you guys were with us during week 12, a lot of these will look familiar. I mean, same team. Pretty much nothing's changed. We'll start with the first one. Everybody's saying in the comments, DaRon Bland getting that interception. So we have to start off. That's the biggest key matchup, Jeff. Us versus us. 100% agree. DaRon Bland versus Terry McLaurin. DaRon Bland normally plays on one side of the field. The Commanders don't do a lot of wide receiver shifting, so McLaurin's going to be in that same spot. These guys are pretty much going to be locked up against each other the entire game, so it's definitely one of those matchups to watch. Sam Howell loves targeting McLaurin. DaRon Bland's a monster. When you try to target him too much, he's going to come away with one. So definitely going to be a matchup to pay attention to. And Nick Fahim saying, sorry, teams play the best game of their season, their last game. That's usually the case. I wouldn't be shocked, Amanda, if the Commanders inexplicably sit some guys.
All I know,
like you said, they want that number two draft spot.
I just want to say that I still have nightmares after last year's week 18. Okay, I'm just kidding. I don't have nightmares, but it was such a terrible game. I mean, Philly ended up winning, so this was a very similar. If anyone ever just look back one season ago, super similar situation going on. This time it's us. If we win, we get the number one, we get the NFC East crown. Similar, the Philly, same thing last year, but we came out and laid a giant egg. So I really hope that we are prepared and ready to go. This is we need to have a solid outing on the road, because if we make it to a conference championship, I mean, that's a bunch of ifs, jumps, a lot of pebbles down the road, but we're going to have to go on the road to win if the Niners make it too. So we really need a big game here. But one thing that, you're talking ourselves versus ourselves, very true. But I think the biggest factor in this game is going to be the weather. In fact, I was reading that maybe a snowstorm, like they're talking about blizzard conditions in some places, and they haven't really pinpointed how bad it's going to be. So I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing. Duran, I do expect Duran to get a pick six. He hasn't had one like since what game was that? Washington.
Washington, yeah.
It was Washington. It was when, this is history, the commentary that all give you chills if you go back and rewatch it with Jim Nance. He did a great job announcing it, but he hasn't had really much since then. Not anything of that. It'd be really nice to see him do another one just to in the, regular season with another pick six. And we'll see. Terry McLaurin, I don't even know if he'll play. I have a feeling, like you said, I think they're going to sit several people just in an effort to call it protect them for for next year or some ridiculous saying. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of their decent people like Brian Robinson, I wouldn't be surprised if they sit him and they just lean on their other back. We'll see. I wouldn't want to win this if I was. I almost called them something. Okay, the Commanders or whatever the heck they want their name to be. Maybe their new coach will make them change it back.
Yeah.
In order to sign with them. But we'll see.
But yeah, Washington has a very talented young running back named Chris Rodriguez. When Brian Robinson missed a couple of games, he definitely stepped up for them. So, like you said, I wouldn't be shocked if they say, you know what, we want to get a better look at Chris Rodriguez, the rookie, to see what he has. So we're gonna sit our starting two backs. I don't think that Antonio Gibson was re-signed, so I think he's going to be a free agent next year. So there's really nothing they have left to see of him. And Brian Robinson is a young guy, but he's dealing with some injuries throughout the year. So like you said, they could have some key guys that sit. And someone asked the question, who will be the quarterback? William Coulter, who's playing quarterback? They already announced he's been pulled 2 of the past 4 weeks for Jacoby Brissett. The coach came out and said Howell's going to be our guy this week. So something definitely look forward to.
I think the spread was like 13.5. I think last time I checked. I want to say it was pretty rough.
Jeff said -10. I think it is 2 touchdowns. To be honest, I'd probably take the spread.
Yeah.
Because
we are, and just to clarify, we're not giving advice. We're just, talking about it just so no one wants to come down on us. But I think I'd take the spread too on this.
Yeah. If it's that high and it's going to be a snow game and we have to rely on our running game to be effective, yeah. I would probably look at that spread. So my next key matchup is Micah Parsons versus left tackle Cornelius Lewis. The reason I put this one in is because I think Coach Webster was talking about Micah Parsons playing off linebacker the past week or two. We have a tendency in the last game of the year to go extremely vanilla. One of the things that bothers me every year. We do this all the time. I think we're going to do it again this week. I think we're going to go extremely vanilla. I think Micah Parsons is going to line up on the left tackle the whole game. D-Law's on the right tackle. We brought up Junior Fehoko, so we're probably going to just let him, Mozzie, Carl Davis, Gallimore, and Golston just work the interior and keep it as base as possible. Micah's pissed off. You guys have been putting in the comments all night. He hasn't gotten a holding call and seems like forever. He hasn't gotten a sack. Seems like forever. And then he's making these comments about, I don't want to keep being stuck at 13 sacks. I'm going to do something about it. Did you see those comments, Amanda?
I did.
Where he said he'll try to step off sides to get that 14th sack.
Yeah. So Did you notice in his podcast too? He had Dalvin Cook's jersey hanging up. Did you catch that?
I always notice that.
Mike is always with the little caveats he's trying to do.
Ultimate troll, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jonathan Pap Webster saying he needs more snaps as off-ball linebacker. I agree. But if you watch the Cowboys in week 17, 18, what have you, they always go extremely vanilla.
which
because they're trying to quote unquote hold stuff for the playoffs.
which makes no sense because there's 16 games of film. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know what you're trying to hold. It doesn't take much to go back and watch the all 22 from all the games.
Yep.
It makes no sense
They do it every year though.
every
They
year.
do it. They do it the first week of the season and the last week of the season every year.
Gotta love the Cowboys.
Yeah. So I think Micah gets that sack this week.
And
So I feel
And he
sorry.
really, yeah, he really needs a big game too, just because I mean, I would say, I don't know what the odds are on it, but he's still in the defensive player of the year talks, even though I'm not, I know people are not going to agree with what I'm about to say, but I don't think that he's there this year. I love Micah Parsons. Don't get me wrong, but I do not think Micah is that. There's other players that I think deserve it a little bit more, but
Yeah.
he's going to have, if he has a really good game, I think that would propel his opportunities to potentially win that award. So we'll see. But I do expect a really big game out of Micah because he's in a bad mood.
I hate to give away my over-unders, but I think Deron Bland did something to solidify it. People have forgotten his name since that Washington game, but he's still leading the league in intercept. He's still one of the league leaders in interceptions. He still has the record for pick sixes. This is a what have you done for me lately league. I think he does something to remind people, hey, I'm still here. And my name should still be at the top of that defensive player of the year list.
I mean, it would be really hard. I mean, you don't break history if, history repeats itself. So when you break history, when you make history in this league, it usually is rewarded. So he's definitely up there. And I think he probably has a better shot than Micah. So,
yeah, definitely.
We'll see.
Yeah, kind of a debate going back and forth saying Mike isn't going to sack his head all the time. That's 100% true. Yeah, and Jonathan, I don't want to turn this into a betting show, but I made my bet 6 weeks ago.
I remember.
I made 2 bets because the odd I got the odds at 2,500 and I got them again at 1,600. So I'm good right now. I think if it's based off performance, 100%, it should go to.
And just on the MVP thing, real quick, I want to ask your opinion. Why is Lamar Jackson the number one? Why is he like? Have you seen his stats? Like, I don't understand. So, is it the quarterback on the best team right now? Is that really what we're gonna do? 100%. Because I'm sorry, his numbers are nowhere near what an MVP should be. If you all disagree with me, Lamar Jackson is not the MVP of this league. I don't even think. I mean, I won't say it. Okay. Brandon Aubrey can't be rookie of the year, William.
Right, he's not considered a rookie.
Yeah. It's a messed up thing, but he cannot be rookie of the year.
It's a combination for Lamar Jackson of best quarterback on best team and then semi-lifetime achievement award. He's a former MVP.
Yeah.
His name is always gonna ring higher than other candidates. So he's always gonna be at least top 3 if he plays a decent season. And the fact that he's the number 1 seed, that only helps his cause.
If y'all are asking me who I think would be more in the MVP race, numbers wise, and this is as a Cowboys fan, I do think Dak is over Lamar. But when you look, I don't like the MVP award going to a QB. It should just be called the QB award because that's what it's become. But Tyreek Hill, I mean, you've got McCaffrey. These are players that without them, their teams, I mean, the Dolphins would be nowhere near where they are without Tyreek Hill. McCaffrey, that is the worst case possible situation for the 49ers is him getting injured. There are people that can step up, but look what happened when I think he was one of the people that was injured in that 3-game losing streak, wasn't he? I think he went down, right? Yeah. Yep. So I really do. I don't think McPurdy, I don't see that. He's not even the best player on his team. But I do. I think it should be going to someone that's not a quarterback. And if you're going to have to look at quarterbacks, you're going to look at numbers and you're going to look at it and say Dak Prescott should be your MVP.
Amanda,
numbers wise.
You see over my shoulder?
Oh, I see it. Yes, it's true though.
I've been throwing subliminals out for the past 3 weeks. I don't know if anybody noticed it back there.
It's just ridiculous. But the thing is, they hold Dak to such higher standards because he's a quarterback for the Cowboys. So I was shocked they gave him Walter Payton Man of the Year. That just I was shocked. I did not expect it. I didn't. Not something I expected, but we'll see. It's kind of like the comeback player of the year. I think it should be Joe Flacco. But it's gonna. Everybody knows who it's going to. We're on like a year past. It's gonna go to DeMar Hamlin. Everyone knows that. That's who it's
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah.
And he's played 4 games.
Right.
I don't. That's not. I guess I know. I'm probably not being agreed with, but
2 questions.
yes.
Well, 2, maybe 3, because we're on the topic. And William Coulter was almost kind of touching base on one of my questions. If Lamar Jackson gets the MVP, just like I said, lifetime achievement, best quarterback, best team, who's the offensive player of the year? Is it McCaffrey? Is it Tyreek Hill? Is it CeeDee Lamb?
CeeDee Lamb might have made a bunch of. If he has a big game, I don't think anyone can maybe even get it from him. So
I agree.
Oh, well, thank you, Coach Webster. Look, see, I have a fan. But no, I do. I know I don't get it. Lamar's numbers are not good. You look at his numbers and they're not impressive. It's just not impressive. So whatever. I know y'all can all disagree. I just don't think it's even close.
Good question, Mendoza. I don't think the yardage is high enough. The touchdowns are great,
but the yardage isn't.
He's borderline at 1,000. He's probably not playing this week, so he's going to be stuck at 1,060 yards with 20 touchdowns, which is amazing. But the yards aren't high enough. You gotta match the yardage with the touchdowns when you're a running back, because you're already behind the 8 ball at the position. Because if this was 2012, he may have a shot, but not in today's NFL.
Yeah, today's NFL it's a receivers league. I mean,
Yeah.
running backs are undervalued, and that's why Tony Pollard won't be here next year. Y'all can all, if there's bets, never mind. Tony Pollard won't be here next year. Don't even have any. You go young. There's no reason to pay out that kind of money when he's not really producing.
Right.
So
I guess that leads to my second question. So let's say Purdy and McCaffrey cancel each other out, offensive player of the year. Is it 100% CeeDee Lamb at that point, or are they still looking at Tyreek Hill?
Well,
because I think they cancel each other out on both awards.
I mean, if you look at Tyreek, he almost hit 2,000 and then he just kind of fell off. I don't know if anyone noticed, we were all talking about him hitting 2,000 yards. I know he got hurt.
Yeah,
you can't really. I mean, he got hurt, so it makes sense. But I don't know. I do not believe that that Tyreek is even in the MVP discussion.
Right.
Or the offensive player. I think Lamb has really made a case, especially the games he's put up. That's what's bizarre. I mean, the 200 yards games, breaking Michael Irvin's record, that's a really big deal. It's a huge deal. And there's a lot of things that CD has done, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him take that award home.
Yeah. That's going to give us a lot of interesting talk in the offseason when it's time to get that contract set up.
Well, I'm glad we took his 5th-year option, because I don't know if we're going to get it hammered out before the season kicks off.
Yeah.
So, because he deserves a lot of money.
Hopefully he's okay with that. Jack Meeker, Justin Jefferson's missed a lot of the season with injury, so he's not in the running this year. I don't even know who the number 3 receiver is right now, behind Hill and Lamb.
I'd say Amari Cooper. Did you see he made the Pro Bowl? I was so proud of him.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Amari's had some really good games too. I don't even think, but he's just shown flashes of really good games, like we'd see him here. But yeah. So
yeah, that's the thing I didn't like about Amari. I love Amari as a player, but it's kind of that Mike Evans type play where he's gonna give you 5 or 6 games where he gets 40 yards, and then he's gonna explode for 250. And you look at the end of the year, and Amari Cooper has 1,000 yards. Mike Evans has 1,000 yards. But you look at him for the season, 30 yards, 30 yards, 30 yards, 200, 250, 30 yards, 30 yards, 180. And it's kind of frustrating. But
he did have a little before they signed Flacco. He had a pretty kind of, a revolving door there for a minute. And they're all stuck with Deshaun. That's what's sad. He couldn't even do what Joe's really doing with the team. That's so crazy to me. And they paid, they sold 3 houses, and they sold the farm for that dude.
Yep. All right. So since we're speaking about CeeDee Lamb, we'll go back into the show. We'll hit up our third key matchup and talked about this one last time we played them. Benjamin St. Juste, young cornerback playing in the slot against CeeDee Lamb. This is a great height, weight, speed guy, 6'3", 200 pounds, 4'4" guy. Matches up athletically with CeeDee Lamb, but again, right now CeeDee Lamb's playing like the best receiver in the NFL. But definitely from a athleticism standpoint, this is going to be a good matchup to pay attention to. This young kid is trying to make a name for himself, and he's got the best receiver coming to his house at the end of the year. So definitely something to pay attention to. And plus, you're going to get a snowy game, so it's going to slow Lamb down a little bit. So pay attention to this matchup with St. Juste versus CeeDee Lamb in the slot. Yeah, Jack Mika said CD is on another level since November. And Jeff Suppo saying Brock Purdy stats are ridiculous. They are. I just feel like him and McCaffrey going to cancel each other out, because if you make that argument, somebody's going to say, well, the running back is there also, and he's doing an amazing job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all the key matchups I have. We have a couple of over-unders. So for you guys who are joining us for the first time, we like to do a segment called Over-Under, where I will give you a statistic, and you guys let me know if you think that player will go over or under. And as always, the last over-under will be an either or, which guy gets more yardage or statistics. Once again, we have a big prize coming up, and you guys are entered into the giveaway by leaving questions and comments. So make sure that you answer all these over-unders so that you can have more opportunities to enter the drawing for this big giveaway. And after we do this, Amanda will tell you guys what that giveaway is. So let's go ahead. Last segment of the show. Let's get into over-under.
Over-under.
All right. So our first over-under, we talked about this in key matchups, Terry McLaurin versus Deron Bland. Sam Howell loves targeting McLaurin. McLaurin's a very talented receiver going against potential defensive MVP. Over under 60 receiving yards for Terry McLaurin in this week's game. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Over under 60 yards. All right. Looks like it's pretty split. Under, over, under, over. Under. Bland is going to clamp him. Over. Justin Robinson, I'm assuming you mean Scary Terry. Boy, the comments are coming in quick. These people really want to get that last prize, Amanda. Got a bunch of overs coming in. Got the under right here from my guy, Justin Williams. Jeff saying under. Then we got 2 Facebook users now. We got a second Facebook user. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't even want to jinx it. If Facebook user shows and we don't know who it is, I don't know what we're going to do with that one. We'll probably do a coin flip or something.
If I knew where they're on Facebook, so it would be on most likely either the group or so I'm gonna pull up as myself just in case that does happen. So maybe we can figure out who it is.
So Justin Suppo, basically what I do is before I do a show, I'll watch the last 3 to 4 games of a team just to have an idea of where the matchups are and who's the star player. And based off of how they performed in those games, I'll just come up with a number. And I try to make it a number that is not like a obvious this is over, this is under. So it's kind of just me coming up with the numbers off the top of my head based off research. Justin Robinson saying the Facebook user needs to go straight to the DC4L page and join the live. Jeff saying just give it to Jeff. We got under.
So I'm going to say for Terry, I'm going to say just over, and it's only going to be on little chip shots. I think it's just going to be a couple chip shots. I don't expect a lot. I think Deron's going to clamp down and really try to, get his name recognized. We talked about it just a second ago. So that's really what I think is going to happen. I don't expect a big game from Terry at all if he plays.
Yeah,
We'll
if
see.
he plays, good
If he
point.
plays.
All right, so let's go to our next over under. We've been talking about this one for the past 5 minutes. Possible offensive player of the year candidate CeeDee Lamb had a couple of great games. Didn't perform as well against the Commanders the last time we played them, but he's been on the tear the past month. Over under 80 yards for CeeDee Lamb in the snow last game of the year. Let me know what you guys think. 80 yards over under CeeDee Lamb, 80 yards.
I think this is completely weather permitting.
Uh-huh.
That's the hardest thing when you talk about games like this. You look at the weather, and I don't know. I think CD. I mean, who would? I mean, one play last week got CD Lamb over 80 yards, so it's really hard not to say under. Like I can't say under. I'm gonna say over. I can't say it. I'm gonna say 130 yards.
So they have to throw to beat us 100%. Justin Supo, the Vegas numbers haven't come out yet, so I don't know what that is. This is 100% off the top of my head, just off research. The Lunatic saying under. Thank you for joining us, the Lunatic, as always. Everybody else is pretty much saying over.
So the one Facebook user here that said under snow and blowout starters pulled is John Kessner. So John, if you want to give permission real quick so we could have your name, that'd be awesome.
Jonathan saying under. I think they will limit him. Michael J. Karen saying over. Ryan saying over for sure. The Lunatic saying we'll get this game over with early. He'll be wearing a ball cap in the second half. That's why he goes under. Great point. Didn't even think about that. Hopefully we take care of business early and we are able to put our starters on the sideline. Weather permitting. Okay, we got 2 more over-unders. So we'll move forward with those. We're at 1:28. So we are right on pace with what I expected. Next over-under, it's going to be a snow game. Washington has an offensive coordinator that likes to run the ball. If Brian Robinson plays, based off what I said before, over under 50 yards rushing. Now remember, they still have Antonio Gibson. They have a young running back and Chris Rodriguez Jr. that they absolutely love right now. And I think he's going to get a lot of snaps in this week's game. So let me know over under in the comments. The Lunatic saying reports say that Eric Bieniemy is going to be fired after the game.
Really?
Just need to score first and get the Commanders to their U-Hauls early.
Why? That's ridiculous. If you're really gonna, okay, I would even consider him for the head coach. I think he's being limited by Ron Rivera there. I think what he's allowed to do is limited. I mean, you look at what Kansas City did with him, and you're going to fire someone with a Super Bowl history. Like, look at Ron Rivera. I mean, he's got the full control outside of his OC and his DC. So Ron, and everybody knows Ron Rivera is very much adamant about it being his way. That's one of the things that's been talked about a lot. So that's crazy to me, the Lunatic. That's crazy.
You bring that point up, Amanda. I'll take it a step further. People don't want to give them credit. The Chiefs have the same offense they had last year.
And can't do nothing.
Look at how they look now. The same offense. And they look remarkably worse. The only thing that's changed is the OC that everybody says, well, he's just a figurehead and the head coach is calling the plays and he doesn't deserve any other credit. So it's quite a big coincidence that you lose your OC and this high-powered offense all of a sudden looks average. Some of those things you got to pay attention to when you look at these NFL teams. Some of these guys deserve more credit than they're getting. And to me, Eric Bieniemy is proven. I could go through his track record, going all the way back to Priest Holmes in the early 2000s. He was Adrian Peterson's running back coach. He's been behind a lot of high-powered offenses as a position coach and an assistant coordinator, and he's not getting the respect he deserves. So we got a lot of unders for this one with Brian Robinson. Brian Dublé saying over easy. Pretty much everybody else is saying under. William Coulter saying over because everybody does against us. That's hard to argue against. William Coulter saying Eric will be the head coach. I see I got my guy Bossy joining us. This is a Chiefs fan, so if his name comes up, we have to repull. Hey, I'm not saying anything negative, Bossy. It's the truth. Offense looks completely different without Eric B there.
It is bad. Isn't that? It's just to watch how far they've fallen, and they really aren't. I mean, they're not missing what? Who left Kansas City in the offseason? I can't think of terribly. Frank, no, they re-signed him too, so I can't think of many people that left.
They lost the receiver, but they ended up signing him back when he was cut. Was it Marquez Valdez-Scantling?
No, it was hold on.
Uh
It's not Tony.
No, Tony's been there.
Tony was there. It was the one I know who you're talking about, but they re-signed him.
Oh yeah. Shoot.
Wasn't it the Jets?
It was with the Jets.
The Jets cut him.
Well,
was it Scantling?
I thought it was MVS.
It might be. I'm not sure.
Oh
Was
no,
it
McCole Hardman.
There you go. Yeah, but we barely seen him.
Yeah.
So
Hardman, yeah. And they lost Juju, but I mean Juju was hurt half the year last year, so
yeah.
I don't think that's enough to make this offense look the way it does now. Sky Moore should have taken another step. They drafted the young guy Rashee Rice, who has played great.
Yeah.
But again, the offense overall has not looked good, and no coincidence Eric Bieniemy's gone. I don't know how this suddenly turned into a Chiefs show, but let's get back to Cowboys football. We will do our next over-under. Let me know what you guys think. We talked about Micah Parsons earlier in the show. This is the most sacked team in the NFL by a wide margin. Sam Howell has lost the ability to read the pocket. He's holding on to the ball too long, making bad mistakes, throwing interceptions. This defense needs to redeem themselves because they have not been bringing the pressure the past 2 weeks. Over under 3.5 sacks for this defense.
Way over.
Okay.
Way over. I think we're going to have a sack fest. Way over. I'm thinking like 5-6 sacks this game because it's been kind of lackluster the past few games when it comes to the defense. So I really think they're going to go see it. Everyone's with me. They're going to have
everybody's
a crazy game. Everybody's with me.
And everybody's starting off with over 6. So everybody's going over on that one. Okay. We got 2 more over unders. We got this next one. I try to tie my over unders to stuff we talked about with key matchups. So we talked about McLaurin. We got to talk about the guy who's going to be guarding the most of the game, Deron Bland. Last time we played him, he got a pick 6. And it should be 0.5, not 0.05. My mistake. 0.5 interceptions, Deron Bland. Does he get a pick this week? Over, under. Does he get a pick? Yes or no? Hector Rosario saying over. He's due. As bad as Sam Howell's been playing, and as much as he likes to target their star wide receiver, there's no way he gets through this game without getting an interception.
I think Jordan Lewis is going to get another one too if he throws to Curtis Samuel. I think unless Curtis was moved to IR, I know he'd been having some issues with injury, but if he's still playing, I expect Jordan to take one too.
Yeah. John Kessler saying he gets 2 and takes 1 to the house. William Coulter, the only one saying no. Everybody else is saying yes. And McLaurin loves those breaking routes. He loves trying to set up the double moves. They're going to make a mistake, I think, and I think he's going to make them pay for it. All right, Jeff coming with a bold prediction with J. Lou with the pick 6. All right, last over under, and we always do it either or. I talked about Jake Ferguson earlier in the show. I think he's going to take a step in the playoffs to go into the offseason. Logan Thomas, super athletic, tight end for the Commanders. Sam Howell also loves to target him as well. Which guy gets more receiving yards this week, Logan Thomas or Jake Ferguson? Dak missed Jake Ferguson about 3 times last week for what should have been about 65 yards. Does he right those wrongs and make those connections?
I think Ferg's going to have a really big game.
Logan Thomas and Sam Howell do already have that connection, by the way.
They do. I like Logan Thomas. He's a really good tight end. But I think Ferguson's going to have a better day. He's really due for one.
Yeah. So this one is not as hard as I thought it was. I see Brian and Bossy saying Thomas. Everybody else going with Jake
And
Ferguson.
that's second Facebook user. I figured out John's given permission now. So the last remaining Facebook user is Joe Foster.
Okay, so if it comes up Facebook user, we'll know who it is.
Yep, we got it.
All right. So unfortunately, Bossy, you are eliminated from the drawing because you are a Chiefs fan. We don't want to have you with Cowboys paraphernalia that you'll spray paint or cut up or whatever you may do. But for everybody else, we are at the end of the show. Do you want to announce it before or after we do the drawing, Amanda? What it is?
I can do it now. We'll let everybody know what it is. So just real quick, I want to give a special shout out to the person who's making this last drawing possible. He's been in the chat, Justin Robinson. He is one of our trusted and verified sellers. I've known him many, many years, and he gets amazing replica quality Cowboys jerseys, 100% stitched. They're really, really nice. I own a couple now. I prefer them, and they're really, really nice, full stitched. Excellent jerseys. And the prize this week, he said sharing is caring. So it is one jersey in stock that he has. So what we'll do is whoever wins, message me, and I will make a little group chat with me and Justin and you so he can show you what you have and he'll get it out to you. This is the second jersey he's donated to the group this year, and we're just super grateful for him. And we've got his link. He's got a post up in the group right now. So we'll go from there. But I thank you so much, Justin. We appreciate you so much at DC Pharrell and everything you do.
All right. So there you have it. So without further ado, we're going to clear out the one from last time. It's still going to show, but I'm going to hit the button again, and we're going to see who has the opportunity to get this jersey from Justin over at, was it 965 Sports?
Let me see. I don't want to say it wrong. I know where he's at, but I don't know the area code there to save my life. So 951.
951.
951 Sports jerseys. So he's based out of California, but he comes in and brings his daughter into games. She's a huge Cowboys fan. They've met Dez, all the fun stuff. So
okay.
Y'all check him out if y'all want awesome jerseys. I just got a throwback CeeDee Lamb jersey that is beautiful. It is so pretty, and like I said, it's all stitched. You can't beat it. These jerseys are fantastic.
Yeah.
And someone asked which jersey I am rocking this week. It will be CeeDee Lamb, my throwback jersey. So,
all right. Give me 1 second while I load this up. All right, guys. So now I'm about to hit this button, and we will see who will be the winner of this jersey. Good luck to everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. And in advance, congratulations to the winner. And thank you, Justin, for this great giveaway.
yes, thank you so much.
Roger L. Young, thank you for joining us this week, and congratulations on winning this jersey. Make sure you contact Amanda. She'll connect you with Justin, and we'll get that jersey over to you as soon as possible. And once again, thank you to the sponsor for this jersey. I believe Justin Robinson, right?
Yes.
over at 951 Sports Jerseys. You can go and find that group on Facebook. Just type in 951 Sports Jerseys. You'll see it pop up and join that group. I think he probably does giveaways as well, but you will get a firsthand look at some of the amazing products that he has available for sale. So make sure you guys go over, find him on Facebook, be a part of the 951 Sports Jersey Nation. So that's pretty much all we have for today's show. Thank you guys for joining us. We got a big game next week, first round of the playoffs. We'll find out Sunday afternoon who we'll be facing. But you guys know if you want all the news and notes for that game, that you can find us here this Wednesday, same time, 8:30 Central Standard Time at the Fifth Quarter Podcast. Um, Amanda, will you be joining me again for the playoffs? You going to join
I
us for the
would.
playoff run?
Yes, and I'm going to gather up quite the list of prizes. I've got an acquisition list, so we're going to make this really special. And we will, if we win a game, it's going to be more prizes the next show. And if we make it to a conference championship, y'all make sure you come rock with us before the game.
Yeah.
So keep rocking
Definitely.
with us, and we're going to keep giving stuff out. We're so grateful for y'all.
Yeah, so thank you guys for joining. Great show. You guys were really bringing it with the questions and the comments. You guys were really engaged. You also got our engagement up with your likes. So once again, before we go, make sure you find DC4L. They have 2 groups on Facebook. They also have a YouTube channel. Make sure you join both of those Facebook groups as well as the YouTube channel. How many people do we have right now in DC4L, Amanda?
We hit 100. Let's see. We just hit 145,000 members a couple days ago.
That's
And
amazing.
our Facebook page has almost 40,000 followers. So,
That's amazing. So you guys see, this is one of the largest Facebook groups on Facebook right now, and for good reason. I'm one of the
no trolls.
admins. We don't allow trolls. Anyone who tries to join the group, we do check out their Facebook profile to make sure they're a real person and that they are a Cowboys fan. So you're always going to be in there with diehard Cowboys fans. We don't let people bully or discriminate. So it is a safe space for Cowboys fans to come and talk trash about the other teams, as well as just share knowledge, because we have one of the most knowledgeable fan bases in the NFL. So if you want to join a great discussion, or you just want to learn more about football or the Cowboys in general, join that group, because if people aren't posting, the admin are posting, and those posts are great. So make sure you join that group. Also find me,
Yeah.
YouTube, Bluff City Cowboys.
Yes, make sure y'all go, and we're trying to get Marcus up to 1,000 subscribers. So make sure y'all go follow Bluff City on YouTube. And before I forget, we're actually doing a beginning of the year giveaway on the DC4L page. 3 winners will receive $30. You just have to have Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. We're going to determine the winners on the 5th. So go check it out. It's really easy. You just have to share the post, like the post, and comment and tag 3 people. Super easy. You can win a little holiday spending money before the game. Just trying to give back to the community. That's what DC4L really is all about. We have a great staff. Marcus is on the staff. We're really blessed, and we work because of y'all. So just thank you for everything. Check out the giveaways. We're always giving something away. That's what we're about. So
Yeah, so thank you guys again joining us tonight's episode of the Fifth Quarter Podcast. I say this every week, but I'm almost certain I don't have anything booked for this Sunday. So
pregame show.
I will definitely be doing a pregame show. So we'll be doing game predictions, bowl predictions. We'll do it last minute check on the injury report, and I'll also give you guys a few fantasy favorites for you guys who have your Week 18 fantasy football championships. So be sure to tune in for that. Even if you just want to come in and drop some great knowledge like you guys did tonight, join us this Sunday, 11:15 a.m. Central Standard Time for the pregame show. Also join us next Wednesday for what should definitely be a victory Wednesday, as we recap this week's game against the Commanders and look forward to our next week's matchup in the wild card round against whoever that may be. So thank you guys for joining us as always. Definitely appreciate your support. And Amanda, any last words before we go?
No, just thank you as always. You're fantastic, and thank you to everyone who tuned in. It's a pleasure being here and doing this. So,
all right, guys, I'll see you next week. And as always, let's go Cowboys. See you guys on Sunday.